Today I want to get into Arm saying that he is leaving something behind for his career. I want to get into Arm upset over the military date and him talking about when he's enlisting. And then we have Jung Kook making a post that must have been really hard for him. So hey Dumplings, this is Dave Desai. Hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your Dumpling, taste filling mug merch, and let's go. Jung Kook recently made a post and so much changed so fast. It was very interesting. If you don't know, the boys often spend their late nights on social media and oftentimes Weverse to either talk to Army, write funny things, or do what Taeyang does often, which is to post the most random photos of his feet or something, which he often deletes. Jung Kook recently hopped on to post a ramen recipe that he really likes. He made sure to clarify that no, he was not hacked, and this was indeed something he wanted to post. Of course, I could totally see why he would think that people would have a concern that he was hacked, but if you know Jung Kook at all, or even any of the BTS boys, then you'll know right away that a ramen recipe is not off-brand. If he posted a brownie recipe, you can probably assume he was hacked, not because he hates brownies, but because we don't know if he ever really loved brownies. If you watch their reality show, any of them, Run BTS, Bon Voyage, In the Soup, or even their live streams, you'll very quickly see that the boys really enjoy ramen and that they always try to make ramen wherever they go. Even when they're camping, they always buy like 4 packs of ramen and boil it for everyone to share. And if you want to check this out with me and not miss a beat to get to know your boys better, join me on Patreon as we can react and watch these shows together. I will link that in the description. There is a $1 tier with limited spots. Make sure you go over there and check it out if you're interested. But the shows are very good, and it's definitely not out of character for Jung Kook to talk about ramen. His favorite brand is Shin Ramen, I believe, and he likes the spicy ones. So this ramen is definitely on the spicy side, so keep that in mind if you decide to make it. This caused a slight ripple effect into the brand of ramen that Jung Kook used. Very quickly, the brand had to file for a trademark. And it's interesting because the CEO of the ramen company isn't on Weverse, scouring and watching what K-pop idols do. I don't think so. No CEO has that type of time. And so he probably was made aware that there was a post due to the amount of either people buying the ramen and a big uptick in that, and then people possibly tagging the ramen company in their post. So literally that same day, the ramen CEO filed for a trademark on the name that Jung Kook gave the recipe. Since the name Jung Kook gave was Bugiri, this was a combination of 2 ramen flavors that Jung Kook had mixed together from the brand, I believe. So naturally the fandom will get upset when they notice that the thing that Jung Kook made up is getting trademarked, and it appears like the company is trying to capitalize and make money off of Jung Kook's innocent invention that was supposed to be a free gift to ARMY. It was believed and alleged that behind the scenes, the CEO was only able to trademark that name so fast because they asked Hybe, and Hybe or Jung Kook was okay with it. However, I don't know about that, because if both the names were already owned by this ramen company and Jung Kook just mashed it together, then they would have permission to trademark their own names, naturally without asking anyone. But it was released in a statement. They did not trademark their own name for the sake of making money off of the recipe, but just so others could not. And the name stays within the same company. It's a pretty standard company move, and it's a way for a company to keep their intellectual property. However, I really don't care what they did about that. To me, that feels like a normal move. I think this leads to a bigger question, which is, how does Jung Kook feel? Even something that is just a silly midnight snack for him that was not supposed to be anything bigger than just a recipe he wanted to share ends up being something that impacts a big company and makes them move. Think about how stressful that must be, that every time they post something, they have to really think about it, and they can't post something because they want to. Like, we can post a photo of us at a restaurant and never really think about it again. But if he did, the restaurant would call him, the restaurant owner's life would be different. It ends up being a big thing. I can only imagine how stressful that is and how much pressure this would add. And more than that, a happy, silly post ends up being something sad, because naturally the company has to trademark, and then armies get mad because they think it's a commercial money-making move, and the fandom is quick to turn anyone into an enemy. And if you're not someone who is mentally strong, this will make you question question those relationships when you read the comments that people would write. So it ends up being a very sad post. But I hope they are remembered for being pioneers in their industry rather than making a lot of noise in their industry, because they definitely pioneered how social media is used to promote their career. Given the rise in K-pop artists just doing in-house variety shows now instead of going on a variety show, this way the artists can relax and enjoy the filming process. And if it's something that makes the boys look bad, the editors will cut it out and it's just less stressful. I think BTS will be remembered for that, among other things, of course. And I think RM's legacy specifically is a very interesting one. RM's solo career so far has been very unique and different. I think he is combining his love of contemporary and non-contemporary art and implementing it into his rap and music. I don't think any artist has done that to this scale in which he has been able to bring it to. Rap is often seen as underground and gritty, and his style for Indigo is very different from that, but at the same time, not quite pop. RM did a performance in New York. He did not do this in New York City, but New York State. So it was north of the city or out of the main part of New York that everyone knows. And it was in a much quieter area. RM did the performance of his song there, and it was very unique and different. He recently dropped the behind the scenes, and we got to see exactly his process. He had chosen this location, and he had a very clear image in his head. He talked about how he was trying to leave a very pivotal point in his career behind, and he thinks the performance he did in New York was that moment for him, and it's very cool for sure. He did it in various locations and really was able to implement art into his performance. Not just performing art, but painting art, lawn art, and visual art, and something that describes him very well. RM's album did come to an end, and I think everyone was curious as to what will be next. I had a hunch that if the solo album that the members make go very well, they probably would not want to stop, but would try their hardest to continue. RM actually talked about making a new album, and it is believed to be coming out next year. So it's believed that the album may come after he is in the military. RM recently hopped on a live stream to talk about how much work he has been doing lately, work like 5 times a week. He has been in the studio, and that he was just doing a live stream for a bit and then literally turning it off and going back to work. RM also talked about really wanting to go on tour for this album, and of course something like that may be out of the cards right now because he won't have time to tour, even though a lot of ARMYs in the comments were begging that he should try and perform something before he goes. RM then continued the stream to talk about his enlistment plans, as that would definitely determine the future of his unreleased album. He talked about his original plan was to enlist right after J-Hope did, and so once the albums were done, they would essentially go in order of that. But I guess RM really had some spark of inspiration and wanted to continue to write and make more music. I would also agree with this. If you feel like there's more to capitalize on and you have more to say in your album or life, then I don't see why you would choose to not create something fast and put it out. I think the first thought that came to my mind, and I assume some other people too, was that if RM released the song while he is enlisting, that would suck, as he has no ability to promote the song or work. So he can't go on variety shows to perform it or any award show to perform it. However, it's not really the landscape of music nowadays. There's so many artists that never perform live on TV shows anymore. They simply release a music video, it goes viral, and people stream it on Spotify or wherever, and the song gets radio play. If it's used a lot on TikTok, and then they still get a #1 without TV appearances. This is why a lot of people say labels aren't as useful anymore. Also, with the amount of people who record performances at concerts and post it on TikTok and it goes viral, there really isn't a need to promote your song on TV shows like The Tonight Show or The Ellen Show. These viral performance clips on TikTok get more views than the performance on TV gets. Artists don't make a lot of money performing on TV shows. They do make something and that varies depending on the artist. These shows will usually compensate the artist for their time, but the amount is probably like pocket change for the artist. It's not like tens of thousands of dollars, I don't think. And if it is, then the artist is probably making millions every day, and tens of thousands is nothing to them. The payoff is single and album sales, which, as I said, they get more sales just by doing their concert and it being posted on TikTok. So RM can still get a big hit and a big song without him actually needing to do much, as in if he has all the music videos and albums done, then once he heads off, the label will take all that material and just do a rollout without him, and he'd still make tons of money without him needing to work. With that said, it is believed that he might not necessarily go right after J-Hope, but he will probably be going within the next few months. He is due within the next year, and if he's working hard on the the album. It should be done soon, and then he would go. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos. A link down below. Thanks. Just leave a comment right here. Love you. Bye.